If you'd told me a year ago that I would collapse in the middle of an airport, wake up in a private hospital room, and eventually marry the man who missed his flight because he stopped to save my life, I would have laughed and said, "You were out of your mind." But life has this strange way of turning the worst moment you've ever had into the turning point you didn't know you needed. And yeah, that happened. My name is Maria Reyes, and this is the story of how everything in my life flipped on a random Saturday morning at Gate 12 of Harborview International, the day 30 strangers lifted their phones to record me while I lay unconscious on the floor, and one man actually knelt beside me. It started as just another exhausted morning in the life of a single mom. I'd been working 3 jobs for months, juggling schedules like some kind of survival circus act. Receptionist at a gym from 5 a.m. to noon, data entry from home in the afternoons, office cleaning at night. I told myself it was temporary, that I just had to get through one more week, one more shift, one more bill. You know what I mean? When you're so deep into survival mode that you forget what rest even feels like. That morning, I took Lily, my 6-year-old, to the airport because I finally saved enough for a cheap standby ticket to visit my grandmother. Lily was wearing her little red dress, excited out of her mind. I was running on 3 hours of sleep and the kind of coffee that tastes like burnt battery acid. We got through security, found Gate 12, and I remember telling her, "Baby mommy just needs to close her eyes for 1 minute." I sat down, leaned my head back, and suddenly the world tilted. It was like the floor dropped out from under me. My heart slowed, my vision blurred, and then nothing. What I didn't see, but later heard from Lily and the man who saved me, was how she screamed for help while everyone around her either stared or lifted their phones. And I get it. Okay. People panic. People freeze, people think someone else is going to step in first. But the fact that she had to grab a stranger's sleeve, look up with those terrified eyes and say, "Please, my mom is dying," just about breaks me even now. The stranger she grabbed was Logan Hale. Yes, that Logan Hale, the man whose name is stamped on half the office buildings downtown. The guy magazines call a self-made billionaire. The man people assume cares more about deals than human beings. But that morning, he didn't hesitate. He dropped his briefcase, knelt next to me, checked my pulse, then pulled out his phone and called 911 with this calm voice that Lily still remembers. Female, early 30s, unconscious, shallow breathing. "We need an ambulance now," he said, while trying to keep Lily from falling apart. She was sobbing, "Is my mom going to die? Please don't let her die." And he kept saying, "She's not going anywhere, sweetheart. I'm right here. You're not alone." The next thing I knew, I was waking up under hospital lights with wires taped to me, my head pounding, my mouth dry as cotton. Lily was there, curled up in a chair, eyes red, but hopeful. And next to her, looking completely out of place in his wrinkled suit and loosened tie, was Logan. He stood up the second I moved. "You're awake," he said, like he'd been holding his breath all night. The doctor came in with this serious look and said, "Ms. Reyes, your body basically shut down. Severe exhaustion, dehydration, extremely low blood pressure. You need rest, real rest. Days in the hospital and weeks after that." I laughed because the alternative was crying. "That's not an option," I said. "I have work, I have rent, I don't have insurance." The financial counselor came in with her clipboard asking me questions I didn't want my daughter to hear. "Any insurance, any savings, any family support?" Lily whispered. "We don't get sick. It costs too much." I wanted to sink into the floor. And right when I was about to spiral, Logan stepped forward, handed the woman a black card and said, "Put her entire bill on this." Just like that. Like he was ordering lunch. I snapped at him. No, absolutely not. I don't take charity. He looked me dead in the eye and said, "It's not charity, it's help. And there's no universe where I walk away after your daughter begged me not to." Lily grabbed my hand, her voice tiny. "Mom, please. He stayed all night." So I agreed, with the condition I'd pay him back every penny. He said, "We'll talk about repayment later. Just get well." What I didn't know yet was that he meant it literally. He stayed. He canceled his flight. He rearranged meetings. He let Lily fall asleep on his shoulder while he took business calls in a whisper. He kept checking my vitals like he'd been a nurse in a past life. When I got discharged, he insisted on driving us home, and that was the part that embarrassed me most. My apartment was on the third floor of a building where the lights flickered and the hall smelled like instant noodles and wet carpet. Logan carried our suitcase like it weighed nothing and looked around our tiny space without judgment. "You can tell there's love in this home," he said softly, while Lily proudly showed him her drawings. He ordered groceries, stocked our fridge, set timers for my medication, and even fixed the wobbling table chair with a spoon and a piece of cardboard. I hated how grateful I felt, because grateful made me feel small. And yet he didn't treat me like I was fragile, just like I deserved a break. A couple days later, he came by after work, sat on the couch, and asked carefully, "What do you make from all 3 jobs combined?" I told him. He looked angry, but not at me. "Maria," he said, "I can pay you that for 1 full-time job at Hale Dynamics. Regular hours, benefits, stability." I almost laughed in his face. "Why me?" He leaned forward. "Because you're the most capable, resilient person I've ever met. You kept your kid alive and happy on a salary that wouldn't cover my dry cleaning bill. My company needs people like you." It felt insane, but the next week I walked into that skyscraper for an interview. HR hired me. Full benefits. Paid time off. A salary that made my chest hurt with relief. And there behind Logan's desk, pinned neatly to a corkboard, was the first sign that things between us were changing. Lily's drawing of the 3 of us holding hands. When I confronted him about it, he shrugged, almost shy. "It's my favorite piece in the office." Life got good. Slowly then, all at once. I worked 1 job instead of 3. I could pick up Lily from school. We had real dinners instead of microwaved frozen meals. Logan became a regular presence, showing up with groceries, helping with homework, eating dinner with us at our wobbly table, watching movies on our tiny couch. One night we were washing dishes in the small kitchen, and he said, "You know, missing my flight was the luckiest thing that's happened to me." I joked, "Yeah, collapsing in public is my favorite hobby too." He took a step closer. "I'm serious, Maria. Being here feels right." And before I knew what was happening, we kissed. Carefully, hesitantly, like we were afraid the moment might break. Everything after that felt natural. He stayed for dinners more often, then for bedtime stories, then for late-night talks after Lily was asleep. And then came the night Lily, sitting at the table, twisting her fingers, asked, "Logan, can I call you Dad?" He froze, tears in his eyes, then nodded. "I'd be honored." She ran into his arms, and for the first time I saw a part of him that money couldn't buy. A man who wanted a family more than anything. He proposed a few weeks later, right in our crooked living room, holding a sapphire ring that matched Lily's favorite color. I said yes before he even finished the sentence. We got married at Gate 12, the exact spot where I collapsed. The airline moved flights, set up chairs, let us hang flowers. People walking to their gates slowed down and smiled. Lily walked first in a lavender dress, then I walked alone, proud of the fact I had gotten myself through hell and into something better. When we said our vows, Logan promised to show up for me, even when it wasn't convenient, and I promised to stop pretending I didn't need help. And the twist right after the ceremony, when we stepped onto the balcony at the reception, he placed my hand on my stomach and whispered, "We're having a baby." I hadn't planned to tell him that day, but once he said it out loud, everything inside me melted. Lily screamed when she found out. I'm pretty sure the neighbors thought a window shattered. Life now isn't perfect, and I don't pretend it is. We still argue, we still struggle with old habits. I still get insecure about belonging in his world, and sometimes he works too much. But we try. And I think that's what makes us real. This whole story happened because one person acted instead of watching, and because I finally let myself accept help instead of drowning. Now I'm curious what you think. Would you have trusted someone like Logan in my position? Should people with money do more when they see someone struggling, or did I just get lucky? And be honest, if you saw a woman collapse in an airport, would you step in, or would you record it like everyone else? Tell me in the comments. I want to hear your take, your stories, your what would you do moments. And if you made it this far, hit like, hit subscribe, and stick around for more stories that make you think about the choices we make and the ones that end up changing everything.